Hi everybody and welcome to Unwind Design. My name is Kimberly and I'm your instructor for today. Starting off, first things first with what we have in front of us. We have an 11 by 14 size canvas. We have it long ways. We're going to be doing our pineapple right in the center, a little bit smaller so we can make sure that we can reach the whole painting. We can get the top of the leaves and everything. So we are going to be using 11 by 14 size canvas. If you have a bigger one or a smaller one, that's fine. These brushes match an 11 by 14 and smaller. If you have a bigger canvas, as long as you have the same type of brushes, you can do this painting. Just go maybe a little bit larger than what I have if you have a bigger canvas. Okay, next we have a fan, or if you have an outlet near you, we have a hair dryer, and that is going to allow for faster drying. Our painting is done in layers. We always start from the back and then work our way towards the top. So if you have a fan or a hair dryer, that really comes in handy so that we can move along a lot faster. All right. Next, we have our towel. So make sure that you have a towel or a napkin or something to dry your brushes off of. And then we have our brushes. We have our large background brush. It's in the title, nice and big for our background. We have a medium square brush. Okay, you might have one that's a little bit smaller than mine. That's fine. We have a round tip pointed brush that comes to a point. Again, these are the brushes that I use for all of my classes. And we have a detail brush, okay? So this is our finer brush. Again, it's in the title, it's for details, all right? Next, we have a container of water. I like to have a container with 2 sections of water. In case one water gets really dirty, I can just go ahead and use the other one. If you feel that your water got dirty too fast, you can get up when we're taking a break or when I'm playing music, and you can wash your water and stock up on fresh water. We always want to paint with clean water, so make sure that if it gets too dirty, go and wash that off. Next, we have our colors, okay? So our colors are our primary colors. We have our yellow, our red, and our blue. Then we have the basics for highlighting and shadowing. We have our black and our white. And then we have our extra colors. So we have our purple, our green, and our brown. So these are the colors we're going to be using for this. And then next, I am going to be asking you guys to get a pencil. So if you guys don't have a pencil yet, make sure you get one, and that way we can get started. Okay, so we're actually going to be using this pencil. Okay, and to start off, we are going to be outlining just a little bit where our pineapple is going to be. We don't want to make it too high. We're only going to make it about maybe half of our canvas height. Okay, so we're going to cut our canvas in half, and that's how high our pineapple is going to go, our lower part of our pineapple. So we're going to come off of the sides. Okay, we're going to go in the middle, maybe leave about 2 hands worth of space on both sides. So here's one line. Here's another line. And that's about as big as we're making our pineapple, as wide. So we're going to be going up. Okay, and about, remember, we're not going past halfway our canvas. So let me put this about right there. So we're only going about that high, maybe even a little bit lower. There we go, nice and half. So I'm coming up and I'm gonna begin to curve. You see that? Almost like we're drawing a minion from Despicable Me. See how they're oval towards the top? Okay, we're gonna come back down. Okay, and there we go. So when we go above this section, we're going to start off on the ends, and we're actually going to bring in a little bit of our leaves towards the front. So we're doing 1 leaf off that corner, another leaf in the center, and this is going to kind of look like hair, right? Like he's got a really cool hairstyle. Okay, our little pineapple. So I'm giving you guys the basics as to how to do this pineapple, but at the end of the day, I do want to see you guys get inspired. I want to see you guys turn this painting into something else. If I'm doing it a certain color, you can go ahead and make the background any color that you like, so it doesn't have to look exactly like mine. Now, if you're trying to do it exactly like mine, then that's fine, but I really like to see you guys get inspired. and realize that you guys are not going to paint exactly like me. You guys have your own experience. You have your own personality. You have colors that you like that are different than mine. And that's what I kind of want to encourage. I want to encourage you guys to be comfortable with yourselves as artists and be comfortable in the colors that you choose, okay? So there's no need to be nervous, no need to be scared. If you don't like the way your painting looks in the beginning, every painting has a messy phase in the beginning, and as we go along, it gets easier and easier. And of course, it gets easier with practice as well, correct? So again, I want you guys to be nice and confident. Don't be so hard on yourselves. You are gonna like it more as time goes by. So we're gonna go in the middle and we're gonna create one leaf. Okay, again, we don't wanna make this too big. We still have space on top. Okay, so I created one leaf there. And then off the side, I'm just gonna be doing some leaves going in. On the right-hand side, I'm just making the spike coming in. Again, this is just a basic outline. When we come in with our color, we're gonna be painting over some of these lines. So it really doesn't matter if they don't look too perfect, okay? Okay, we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. We're gonna curve in and we're gonna make these leaf stems on top. Okay, so we're curving up a little bit and then we're making that line we're curving. Okay, that way it looks a little bit more natural. We're curving and then creating a straight line in the back. Let me zoom in a little bit so you guys can see that a little bit better. See that? So we're making just leaves and we're attaching them. First, we start off with the bottom, then we do the top, we come back, and it's kind of like we're doing curved triangles. You see that? So these are just kind of like really long triangles that come to a point. And then this top section just kind of fades off into the distance over the top. Okay. And we have our pineapple basically drawn right there. Okay, so again, if these don't come out so good, don't worry about that. We are going to be going in with our brush and be painting over that. So at the end of the day, this is going to look a little different. This is just so you know more or less where to paint your background. All right, so starting off, we're going to be picking up our brush, and notice that our brush has a lot of little hairs. It's kind of loose and it expands. So your brush is like a sponge, okay? When you put it in your water, it's really going to suck up a lot of that water, which means that when you squeeze it, all the water is going to come out, right? So we like to tap it just a little bit on our napkin so that all the extra water just comes out into our napkin or our towel. And then we're going to begin to add some water into our paint. So these are the things I want you guys to pay attention to. If your paint is very sticky and you're having a hard time spreading it, then you probably need a little bit more water. If your paint is really watery and it's going all over the place, then you're probably going to need a little bit more paint. So we want it right in the middle, we want it to feel kind of like sour cream. We don't want it to be like toothpaste all sticky, and we don't want it to be like soup, super runny. We want it nice and creamy while we're spreading it so that we can control our paint instead of our paint controlling us. Okay, so we're gonna be using two colors for this. We're gonna be picking up our white, and let's add a little bit of water to our white first. And I like to use the corner of my paints. Okay, I don't like to use all of my paint just in case I want to use white later. I like to have that accessible. So always paint on the sides of your paint and try to leave the pure color in the middle. Okay, so we're going to come in and with this brush, we're squeezing in that water. We're mixing it in, trying to get your paint nice and soft. Again, I'm only working in the corner. I'm not using all of my paint. I'm only using the corner side there. Okay, so from this, we're picking up just a little bit of our purple and we're mixing it into our white so that we can get a very light lavender color. You see that? Our color's starting to get a little bit lighter. If it's too dark, add a little bit more white. Again, we don't want to add a lot of purple in there. We only need to add a little bit, and a little bit goes a long way because purple is a very pigmented color. It's a very dark color. So there we go. We have our light lavender now. See, nice and light. Next, we're going to wash off our brush, and we're going to use the other half of our white that has water. We're going to pick up a little bit of this blue. Again, a little bit goes a long way. And we want to get it very light as well. Okay, these are the two colors we're going to be painting our sky with. They're going to be a mixture of baby blue and some lavender. Okay, so I'm mixing in my colors, mixing in my blue, making sure that that paint actually has a lot of water in it, just so that it's smooth and I can use it and not have to make more. Okay, there we go. So we have our two colors there. Okay, and we're going to start off painting around our pineapple. So we're going to start off first with maybe a little bit of this blue. Notice that a lot of that blue came out. So if you happen to get a dark spot, just add a little bit more white to it, and that'll lighten up your color. Okay, so we're hoping to paint long ways. We're going to paint side to side here. Usually I do little X's, but this time we're going to be painting side to side. Okay, and we're going to come in with this blue. Add a little bit more of that white, and we're going to bring this all the way down. And we're going to be playing with our colors back and forth. Right here we have some of this blue. Next, I'm going to come in with maybe some of my purple, and I'm going to add it over my blue. You see that? And we start to get a little bit of purple combined with our blue color. Let me get you guys close to that so you can see it a little bit better. See, you can see a little bit of purple mixed in there. You can come back, and that's what's going to give us that very nice, kind of like a foggy look, which is what we're looking for. See that? And then we're going to be going back and forth between our blue and our lavender. Okay, and we're going to do this all around our canvas. Remember to come back and pick up a little bit of water to make sure that it is nice and soft, to make sure that everything's blending appropriately. We need to make sure that our paint is smooth. We don't want it to be sticky. Okay, so again, kind of go around your pineapple. Release your pressure. Try not to press too hard. When you press too hard, you tend to leave lines behind. So we want to put our paint and then barely push just to spread that color out. And that's going to create that blended, faded look that we get in the painting, okay? When we press hard, we open up our bristles and our paint comes out of the side, and that's what leaves all these lines. So to go over it and soften it up, you have to barely touch your canvas with the hair of your brush, very softly. And that's going to blend in all of those lines, and it's going to give you a very soft, powdery look. So like I mentioned, we're going to be going all around with this. We're going to continue to grab that baby blue, teal with that lavender we made. We're going to continue to use our brush going inside of the leaves on the top section. If you happen to mess up a little bit, it's okay. You can always wipe it off with a little bit of water and your rag. We're going to continue to go around our pineapple. Remember to go over it softly. When you press harder, your brush tends to leave thicker lines around your brush, and it tends to leave more indentations. So what you want to do is you want to go back and forth with it softly. When you're blending your colors, you want to apply your color right next to it, and then go up and down, and then apply your next level, and then go up and down again. And what that does is that it creates a very soft blending effect, kind of like I mentioned before, a nice baby powder effect. So pay attention to your pressure. The harder you press, the more lines you're going to leave behind. The lighter you press and the more you go over it as it's drying, the more airbrush effect you're going to get, kind of like mine, where it's kind of all over, a little bit smooth. So we're going to continue this and we're going to go down. Remember, if your paint is sticky, pick up a little bit of water. You want to make sure that your paint is nice and smooth. If you run out of paint, remember to come back and add some more to your brush. You can always go a little darker or a little bit more purple. Maybe you want to use other colors. Your painting doesn't have to be exactly like mine. Remember, this is your painting and you're allowed to use your imagination as well. I'm just here to be your guide. So after we're done with this, we're going to go in and we're going to blow dry this. We want to make sure that our piece is nice and dry before we move on to our next section. We are going to be adding lighter colors like a yellow, as well as some green. So we want to make sure that our colors don't bleed on top of each other. And we're going to make sure that that happens by ensuring that our background is nice and dry before we move on to our next step. We are now going to grab our square brush. We're going to make sure that we have plenty of water in that. Also, remember that we do want to soften up our paint so that we can use it to the most we can. So we're going to pick up our square brush. We're going to pick up a little bit of that water and we're going to add that to our yellow. Okay, and we're going to be painting our pineapple all yellow. So we're starting at the top and we're painting it down nice and yellow. If you're having a problem at the edges and it's not really coming through, add a little drop of brown into your yellow just to make it a slight bit darker. Again, it's only a little bit goes a long way. You don't need a lot. And that's going to turn your yellow a little bit into a mustard yellow. And that's going to allow for better coverage on the edges. Okay, so I'm coming with just a little bit of that darker yellow. Okay, and we're going to fill in all of our pineapple with that yellow, and we're coming all the way down with it. And we're going to cover all of this surface, okay, guys? Remember to pick up some water if your paint is a little too rough. We want to smooth it out. Okay, if you need to add a little bit more white as well, if it's not standing out, you can add some white also. So we're coming in with our yellow and we are filling this out all the way across. We are smoothing it out, going right next to the previous paint stroke we made. We are going back and forth like I mentioned before in the background, and we're doing this to make sure that we smooth out any indentations we might have left as we were first placing the color on our canvas. So again, usually when you press the first brush stroke, the color tends to leave lines on the side. So we're going back and forth and we are erasing those lines by going over them smoothly. Also, if you want to make your pineapple a little bit rounder and maybe the outside is not allowing for that color to stand out, pick up your white and add that to the yellow so you can use it as an outline on the side to make sure that it really stands out. So again, a little bit of white added to your yellow so that you can get a better outline. And we're going to start to straighten our pineapple and we're going to start to give it some shape. After this, you want to make sure that your pineapple is very dry before you move on to your next step. You might want to blow dry it and maybe add another layer if you want your pineapple to be a little brighter. If not, just go ahead and blow dry it so we can move on to our next step. Okay, so moving on. Hopefully now your guys' piece is a little bit drier. I know mine is. We're going to be zooming in a little bit and we're going to be working on these leafy areas over here. So for this, we are going to be using our square brush. We're going to be mixing some of our pre-mixed green into our yellow to get a lime green, or you could use blue and mix it with your yellow to get a green. But we're going to go ahead and mix it very well so we can start to apply it on the top section of our pineapple. Okay, so we're getting a little bit of that lime green. Next, to this green, we're going to move it to the side a little bit, make sure that we add plenty of water to that green. And we're going to add just a little drop of black. We're trying to make a darker green than the one we already have. Okay, so this is going to be more of like our shadow. When we do a painting, we want to add like 2 or 3 different versions of the same color so that it looks more three-dimensional and it looks a little bit more realistic, and so that it adds variety and it doesn't look too plain. So right here, we're going to be adding 3 different types of green, and we're going to be using a highlight, which is going to be yellow. Okay, so we're going to be using our yellow as a highlight. So we're going to start off first with a little bit of our dark green, and everything that is towards the inside and towards the top is going to be this dark green. So let's start off first on top. We have a little bit of that dark green towards the left-hand side. Oops, I got a little bit of some yellow on there. Let me take that off. So we're coming off with that dark green. We're going to keep it towards the inside there. We're going to grab some more of this dark green, and we're going to also put it on the opposite leaf. You see that? So we're going to be doing that on the insides of our leaves where they connect. Then we're coming in with that lime green, and I'm going to start to mix it on the rest of my leaf. You see that? Grabbing a little bit of that yellow green, and we're going to mix it slightly with that darker green, just a little, to bring in the color that way. And then we're going to pull it towards the right a little bit as well. When we're blending, we don't just want to leave too harsh lines. We want to make it look as if these colors are sort of merging together. Okay, so I'm going back with maybe a little bit darker color again, scratching that on there towards the center. Okay, and then I'm slowly bringing it into the middle. Okay, next we're going to grab that lime green again, and we're going to do the same thing to the other side here. So wherever we use that darker green, we're going to come in, and we're just going to mix some of this lighter green over the top of it. Okay, my line seems like if it dried a little bit, so I'm going to have to go scrub it off. And then I'm going to have to come back with some more of that dark green and add some of that dark green over the top. There we go. We want to get that faded look. See that? So we have our darker side towards the top and our lighter side towards the bottom. Again, to get rid of these lines, you want to go over it very softly. Don't press very hard. And we want to kind of just soften this up a little bit. See, we're getting rid of those lines now. If you need to go a little bit lighter, you can add a little bit of yellow to that end over there on the left hand lower section. And that should brighten up your piece a little bit more. You do the same thing on the opposite side. Add a little bit of yellow, and it's going to start to get a little cooler. Coming back with some of that dark green. So cool. Next, we're going to be doing the same thing with each of these leaves. I'm going to work on the ones on the left first, and then I'm going to do the ones on the right. Okay, so I'm grabbing my lighter green, starting off at the top, working my way down. Okay, so we're coming in with that lighter yellow. Remember to always keep your moisture on there. We're adding that lighter yellow. I'm coming in now with my darker green, and it's going to be closer to the bottom again. And I'm just towards the right hand side, I'm adding that green in the bottom and towards my right. See that? And now I'm starting to create a shadow effect on this section over here. So again, we do want it a little bit darker on the right as we go up. Coming back on top. And we're working on those leaves. So again, I'm coming back with my lighter color, and we're just going to be repeating the same pattern of having our light color. If you want it any lighter, you can go in with some yellow, like I mentioned before, and that'll add just a little bit more of a highlight on the side that is a little bit more lit up towards the bottom here. Okay, so again, we are now coming in with our darker color once more, and we're putting it right in the bottom and wherever you see that your leaves are touching. So we're touching right here on the right hand side, and I'm gonna work in that dark green into the rest of my leaves here, and we're gonna continue doing that all the way. We are finishing this section right here on the top. So when we go towards the bottom of our leaves, we are going to be using that light green, and the lightest section is going to be right on the point. So wherever you see that the light is hitting it, that's going to be a little bit lighter. Okay, so the light is obviously hitting right on this section because this is showing. Okay, and then the rest that is in the back, that's a little hidden, is what we're going to have a little darker. Okay, so in the back, on this lower leaf specifically, we're going to have the darkest right towards the back corner over here. Okay, and here's your chance to actually go in and fix your petals. If you didn't like how you drew them, go in there with your brush and make them a little bit pointier. You know, make them a little bit bigger than you're drawing. You don't have to stay in the lines. Like I told you guys before, the lines were just a simple outline for you guys to know more or less where to paint. But at the end of the day, you can go in there and just fix those leaves. You can do all that editing as we're going along. If you want them to be a little bit bigger, if you want them to be a little bit chubbier, you can totally go in there and just add more color and thicken them up a little bit, or make them longer, or give them a little bit more of a personality by making them nice and pointy. Okay, you can also come in and add more shadow to your painting as it's drying, just to make sure that it is extra dark in those areas where the leaves are touching a little bit more. There we go. Add a little bit more of a darker color in those sections. Okay, so again, whenever you guys do painting, always try to pay attention to the shadows. Okay, the shadows, you hardly ever just use black. Most of the time, you just add a little bit of black or brown or blue to your colors to make the impression of a shadow. Okay, an impression is something that looks like something, but it's not really that. Okay, so it's giving you the impression of a shadow by giving you that darker color without you having to actually go in there and paint it black. And it looks more realistic. Okay, so next, starting with our leaf right at the bottom, we got to remember to have enough of this yellow green. Mine's already finishing, so I'm going to add a little bit more water and yellow to mine. And we're going to come in right in the middle here, and we're going to start to shape that leaf. Again, the lightest part is going to be right on the tip with these. because they're more closer to the forefront. So these are the ones that are going to stand out the most. Okay, on the right hand side, it's going to be the same thing. Right on the tip is going to be the lightest. And then we are going to have the darkest towards the center here. Okay, so this one I did go out a little bit, so I'm going to make my leaf a little bit chubbier. There we go. I made it a little bit thicker so that it would match the fact that I extended my pineapple a little bit more out. So we're coming in with that dark green, and we're going to add some dark green right in the center where the lines connect. And I'm going to move it towards the bottom half of the bottom leaf. So here we go. Here we have the leaf that where it's connected the most. And that's where we're going to add that green. I'm going to come back and right in the middle, going to be doing the same thing. Coming back in there with our darker green. Okay, you can also come back with a little bit of your lighter green and blend it in so that it doesn't look like it's two different sections. We want to make it look like it's the same leaf, but that it has different shadows to it. So moving on to this top leaf, we're going to have the highest point or the lightest point right on top. Okay, so we're going to have it lightest on top. And as we work our way towards the bottom, actually let's go in there with a little bit more yellow. Okay, we want to make it nice and light. And then in the bottom here is where we're going to be adding our darker color. Right at the bottom where all these connect, we're going to be kind of just working it towards the top a little bit. Okay, again, I'm coming in with my lighter yellow and I'm going to be blending it back and forth to make sure that it doesn't look too weird. Coming back with a little bit more yellow right on top. There we go. We're starting to make it nice and light now. Okay, so when we're painting, we're always going back and forth to make sure that the painting looks combined, or else it's going to look like we're painting it in sections, and we're not wanting it to look like it's in sections. We want to make it look like it's all part of the same piece. Okay, so moving on to our right-hand side, we're going to be doing the same effects. Okay, so we're going to have the darker towards the top where you see that they're mostly connected, and we're going to have the lighter towards the tips where the light is hitting it more. So again, we're going to be adding the lightest on the top section of our leaves, and we're going to be having the dark sections towards the bottom and where our leaves connect, light to dark. So continuing the pattern of using dark and light colors, going back and forth, working on our pressure to make sure we get rid of all those initial rough outlines that we leave with our initial brush strokes. We are going back lightly with our lighter color and then back with our dark color until we find the look that we are going for. We don't want to have a rough texture on our leaves. We do want it to look more like highlights and shadows. We are going to be doing this until we finish our leaves of our pineapple. And then up next, we're going to be skipping ahead onto the spikes on our pineapple. I didn't get to record that section. I guess we had some technical difficulties. These classes are recorded live in front of a live audience. But I am going over everything that I did to create those spikes, despite not being able to have the process of them to show you guys. So we are going to be using our detail liner brush and some brown for that next section. You can also use a little bit of black if you want to darken the tips of the spikes. And our spikes are just going to be V lines, so lines shaped as a V with brown little wispies in the center. And we're going to be putting them in between the previous line of V's that we did. It gets a little bit confusing, or it sounds a little confusing, but I'm going to show you guys up next what that's going to look like. Right, so what we did next, again, as a reminder, we went in with our detail brush and we created these little diamond shapes. So we started first with the top, making them look a little bit like diamonds. And then from there, each point we made a V below and we made these little lines across. Again, in between those two lines, we're making another one. In between these two lines, we're going in and we're making another one, and it's creating the shape of a diamond every time we are doing that. So we're doing each line as we're going lower, and we're going lower, we're creating that diamond shape by drawing out the brown at the bottom. Okay, so our lines are fanning out to fill in the bottom and make it look like it's the little spikes that are coming out. After we have done that, we are going to wash our detail brush and we're going to continue to use it. So wash it off from all that brown. We're picking it up again, and this time you're going to add some water to your white. Your white is probably really sticky right now again because we've been waiting a little bit. We haven't been using it that much. So you're going to come in with a little bit of water and we're going to begin to soften that up so that we can use it on the top section of these little diamonds so that we can form a highlight. So we're coming in with that white. Awesome. I have some available here already, nice and soft. And right over the top, we're going to be creating a diamond shape. So we're doing the top of the diamond the other direction. So we're coming in right in the middle. And over the top where we did those lines, we're going to be using the white to create a little bit of a highlight over that top section there. So this is what's going to make this look more complete, is that highlighted section on top of all of these little diamonds. We're going to come in and do some of that white around there. Again, we're leaving a line around. We're not fully painting the whole thing. We're leaving a gap. You see that, how we're leaving a gap around it? And then we're going to come in and just paint that in. And we're going to continue to do that all the way down on the opposite side of where we painted the brown. Okay, and we're going to keep that up all the way down. So once we're done with all of our highlights on our pineapple, you can also use the same brush to pick up a little bit of black and to outline some of the darker sections or darker lines you want to stand out on our leaves. After we do our highlighting and our outlines on our leaves, we're going to be moving on to our glasses. That part was also skipped. However, the cool thing about this is that you get to actually make the design of glasses that you like. That is how it was presented in class. I decided to do these old 60s retro glasses that point in the corners, sort of like cat eyes. So I picked up my round tip brush and I picked up some blue with a little bit of black. Again, my round tip brush, blue with a little bit of black. And I created a cat eye glass, shaped it on the upper part of my pineapple. And then I went in with the same brush, washed it off, and I painted inside of the oval of my sunglasses half a line of baby blue. And I filled it, the top section, with baby blue so it would look like I was looking at a beach. So again, go ahead and pick whatever color you want and outline your glasses. Oh, but first, make sure to blow dry your canvas as well. Okay. So again, we went in with our blue. We outlined the outside of our glasses with that darker blue. Then we're coming in with that blue and white, and we're going to start to outline half of our glasses with that baby blue and white, or that lighter blue and white. Okay, so now that we're here, we're going to come in, and with our round tip, we're going to leave a little circle on the right, and that's going to be our moon. Okay, I want you guys to wash off your brush and dry it a little bit. And I want you to pick up just a little bit of that white. Again, I want you to dry your brush and pick up a little bit of white. Look at how much I have in my brush. I don't have that much. I only have a little bit, and it's not super clustered. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go into this blue, and we're going to start to scrape a little bit of this white around, just to create an aura around the moon so it looks like we have moonlight shining on that right-hand side. Okay, so we're coming in, adding a little bit of that white. Perfect. If you want to go in there with your detail brush and pick up some white with that detail brush and add some lines with it, you can totally go in there and just add some lines. Kind of like if you're adding ripples, like when you drop a pebble into some water. So we're drawing ripples around the moon, going around it. Okay. Next, you're going to be grabbing your round tip brush again, and this time you're going to get some of that red, and you're going to mix it with some white. So we're going to be getting kind of like a light pink color. Okay, so you're getting some red and some white. And now with this, we're going to begin to paint the bottom half of our glasses. So again, remember that we are going to be covering this up again with your blue. So if it looks a little bit off, that's fine. You're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. You're going to come in with that pink, and you're just going to paint with it, filling this section out. Okay, I am scraping just a little bit of white to give the illusion of some ripples of water. Okay, and I'm not really scratching them hard. I'm just adding them on there as a light highlight. After we are done with that, we're going to come in with our detail brush, and we're going to be adding water to our black. Okay, so we want our black to be nice and soft. My black is super sticky, so it's going to need a good amount of water in there to mix it up. Okay, to make it soft again. I'm adding a little bit more water. I love it when I use my black. I usually have a lot of black left over when I paint, so it's a good thing that I'm trying to add water to make it last, because usually I end up throwing away a lot of black and I don't like doing that. You want to save your colors. Color is precious. Okay, so we're mixing that up. Okay, my brush is a little bit too wet, so I'm going to dry it off on the side. I'm going to come in with a little bit of that black. Okay, and I am going to start drawing in some mountains. So first we're going to start off at the end here, and we're just going to try to kind of draw this all the way across. And that's what's going to join our sky and our water together. You see that is our mountainscape. Okay, on the opposite side, you're going to do the same thing. Okay, except that here we're going to do some different size mountains. Different levels, making it a little bit shorter, a little bit bigger. I'm going to make also maybe another little one, another bigger one, and then it's going to go flat. Next, in the sky, we're going to go in and just do two little trees. Two little birds. Let me zoom in so you guys can see it a little bit better. There we go. And then from the bottom, we're going to start to do some palm trees. So we have one palm tree going up, another one going sideways also, and another one curving towards the right. You see that? Next, on the left, we're going to have a palm tree on the left going towards the right, and a palm tree crossing over the opposite direction. Once you're done with those two palm trees, we're going to come down and we're going to start to make a little bit of like some rocks right here in this corner. Okay, so it looks like that's what we're looking at, the bottom of the cliff side here. We're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. And we did our little cliff side there. If you want to go and start working on those palm trees, I'm going to show you how it's going to look on these over here. So we're going to do one line, another line in the middle, and another one downwards. That's 3. We're going to do the same on the other side. 1, 2, 3. And from each of these lines, if you're towards the right, you're going to make your lines go towards the right. See? I'm making all my lines go towards the right. And you're just going to kind of make lines from the middle out and from the side out. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. So we're doing lines going out that way. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side, going the same direction. And we have our palm tree right there. Okay, and we're just going to continue working on these palm trees before we move on to the detail of our glasses. And actually some ripples in the water too. Okay, some of these palm trees might be overlapping, and that's fine. You don't have to worry about that. Okay, I'm going over the moon just a little bit. Okay, if your black is not standing out, you can get a little bit of white so that you make it light gray and it stands out more. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put in a little bit of green into my leaves. You won't be able to see them that much. It's just gonna be, just in case somebody looks super close, they can see some green in there. So it's not gonna be super obvious. You can't really tell that much. See, but if somebody gets really close, that's gonna be a little bit of a surprise for them. They'll be like, oh wow, there's green in there. And you'll be like, that's right, I planned that. And you have to look really close to notice, or else you wouldn't notice. Okay. Also on this rock section, I am going to be picking up a little bit of blue, and I'm just going to scrape a little bit of blue on the rocks so that it also looks like there's some lighter shadow on those rocks when they dry and it doesn't just look black. Okay. When you guys are done making your palm trees, you're going to grab a little bit of that black or blue, and we're going to go in and make some lines in the water. All we have left after this is to straighten up our glasses and to add a little bit of highlight, and that's it. So I'm going to go in with my blue. I'm adding a little bit more water to it. And I'm going to start to work with this blue to straighten up my glasses. Remember, we want to make them a little bit thicker than how we made them before. Mine are going to be really thick. Okay, and they're going to be a little bit more cat-like. So mine are a little bit more cat-like I told you guys. And let's just work on that for a little bit. To define this cat eye, I am using a light baby blue on the corners just to add some highlight in there. If you want to paint the first layer of the color of your glasses and then allow it to fully dry and then go in and add your other layer and continue to shape your glasses by allowing your canvas to dry before you move on, you're more than welcome to pause this video so that you can do that from home. Take your time to draw the glasses, make sure that the colors are nice and thick. Sometimes when you apply the colors really wet, it doesn't go on as thick as you want it to. So allowing your canvas to dry is a great option for that. Also, don't forget to play with your highlights and your shadows. Add a little bit of white to make your color pop right on the corners and around the frame. Okay, and I'm actually going to define my cat eye. There we go. I'm going to define it just a little bit better. And I'm going to add a little bit of that white into this blue on this section just to get it prepared for my final highlight. So I'm going to grab a little bit of this light blue, and I'm just going to start to mix it in with this darker blue just to prepare that space for that highlight. Okay, so I know where I'm going to be putting it. So I'm putting my highlight right there. I'm going to add a little bit more white to it. I'm going to curve my highlight a little bit too. Coming back with a little bit more white. I'm going to be adding my other highlight towards the bottom. I'm going to be adding another one right here. I'm also going to be adding another little one at the bottom here as well. Okay, so we want to make sure that these have plenty of highlight there. And then you want to revise your glasses and make sure that the outlines are straight. You want to make sure that the design is even. I'm going to have to go in and straighten out my left side a little bit. I'm going to have to add some more highlights and shadows. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'm going to blow dry my canvas to make sure that it is completely dry for our next step. All right, so finally we're going to grab our detail brush. We're going to be picking up some pure white, and we are going to add a little bit of a highlight right in where we added those highlights before. There we go. And this is going to take the highlight to a whole nother level. Okay, so we're coming in with that white. We're adding that highlight wherever we place those other highlights. And we are going to come in and we're going to fill in and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. And there we go. All we have left to do now is to get our detail brush. I'm going to come in with a little bit of my blue. And you know what? I might go in there in a little bit and just add a little bit more blue here. I think I might have done the highlight just a little bit too big. So we can always go back in there and edit that with some more blue. It's not hard to do that. Okay, so anyways, moving on, I'm going to grab a little bit of my blue and I'm going to pick up some water, and on the right hand side we are going to do our signature. Okay, and after this you guys should be done. All right. Thank you so much for painting with me today. I hope you had fun. I know I did. Be sure you check out our videos at unwindanddesign.org. We have all kinds of new stuff for you to check out, and I hope to paint with you soon. Bye.